if you feel that nothing has happened, if there is not a rise of prices, if there is not a market change dynamic, if there is not a thrive of sustainable supply chains and responsible supply chains, we know that we have failed.
This episode is proudly brought to you by Mapper Forward's workshop, It's Time to Become a Coffee Consultant. Learn how to diversify your revenue streams and create freedom from your day job while saying goodbye to that alarm clock forever by becoming a consultant within the coffee industry or directly to consumers who have shifted towards home brewing and home roasting. Protect your income from challenging times in the coffee value chain by taking this course today. Go to mapperforward.coffee/workshops or click the link in the show notes for details. Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Mapper Forward, friends. I'm your host, Lee Safar, and this is unfortunately the final episode in what has been a fantastic and really insightful conversation about EUDR with Pedro Manga from Caravela Coffee. Pedro, you said something to me before we started recording that is, I want to pick up on in this discussion, which is also where we left off in the last episode. We were talking about, when I asked you in the last episode about who else is doing this, and you weren't able to tell me anyone else that's doing this. I find that really fascinating because if we're talking about what's at stake if this isn't successful, which is what this episode is about, folks, what's at stake if this isn't successful? When we don't know who is actually doing the right thing and who isn't doing the right thing, doesn't this become another marketing mechanism for the person who can demonstrate as quickly as possible that they are? Like, does this become a new USP?
It is definitely, and more who can prove it, who can communicate it better.
Okay.
That's the race, and it's part of the strategy. Strategy does not end on the structure for having a robust due diligence and risk assessment. The strategy ends on how you communicate it and how you differentiate your strategy from the rest, without knowing what the rest is doing.
Right.
It's so just by the certainty of what you are doing. You have to accept what you are doing because you don't know what the rest is doing.
Right. So when you come on and you say, buy coffee from Caravela, it, to me, exhibits a level of confidence that you know for sure that Caravela is compliant, but you can't know that somebody else is compliant because I assume, and this is a question, you would have been able to answer directly if you had that information. But in your mind, if I read your answer correctly, you didn't know that from the market?
Look, I said it because I am sure, and we have developed the systems to ensure compliant coffee. Caravela is not compliant.
Oh, correct. I misspoke there. I'm sorry.
The entity cannot be compliant.
Yes.
But we are we have developed the systems to ensure compliant coffee to roaster partners in Europe. That I'm sure of that. And we have developed the system. Since there is a lot of secrecy, I don't know what others are doing. That's why, for me, it would be irresponsible to just put a name out there. Not because I don't want to, it's because I don't know. And every supply chain varies in length, in partners. So it is different.
Now, you mentioned that a few times in this series, and that the supply chains vary in length. Now, that may be a new concept for people if they don't understand that. So help people understand what that ideology is.
Coffee it's the sherry from the tree. And there is a lot of things that you need to do to have the roasted bean that you mill and you drink. And there is a lot of expertise. The producer produces, but then anybody can buy coffee from a producer. It could be an independent party. It could be a producer with a bigger farm willing to buy producer from the coffee from the neighbors. And then there is a lot of people buying that coffee from them, either in cherry or already in parchment. You have to mill it, you have to select it, then you have to export it. So there is a lot of steps, there is a lot of expertise in the process. Usually in coffee, those gaps and those expertise are filled by different players. Everybody takes a bite and everybody charges a little bit for their expertise. There are some other supply chains that are vertically integrated and are able to grasp most of that expertise, reducing the amount of players getting a bite from the revenue.
Which shortens the supply chain. And so in case you had heard us say that a couple of times through this and didn't quite get it, hopefully you made it through to the last episode of this series and you got that definition. Now, to continue this conversation, what's at stake if this isn't successful? Because, wait, let me say something before that. From where I understand it, this is not a trial, right? This is happening. There's no trial period. This is going in, correct? He's nodding his head for anyone who's listening. Okay.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, this is not a, hey, let's practice this and see what comes of it and see if we grow more trees. No, this is happening. What's at stake if it doesn't work?
The meaning of traceability and transparency in the industry, it's for me what is at stake. And the future of it. If this regulation or the execution of the regulation fails, it would be hard for the industry or as many industries as it covers to have an homogeneous effort in making things better, in making their supply chains more traceable, more transparent. It's only good for everybody. It has been good. Like, we have been pushed to have better practices. Even Caravela that had good, we all have been pushed to improve our practices, all of us. But if it fails, then knowing that those practices are more expensive and you're not being monitored as they are, then would you be investing again on those practices? Would you keep doing them, or would you just communicate you're doing them? So deforestation, traceability is at stake here. If it fails, traceability and transparency won't mean anything. Like, everybody could offer traceability and transparency, which is not what happens.
And what does it look like? What does failure look like in this?
I would say that failure would mean that you don't even notice the regulations came into place.
Right. Back to the wizardry and fuckery.
If you keep drinking the same coffee at the same price, just that with an extra logo on the back that says EUDR compliant, it would be the same coffee. And if you feel that nothing has happened, if there is not a rise of prices, if there is not a market change dynamic, if there is not a thrive of sustainable supply chains and responsible supply chains, we know that we have failed.
Can that not be masked by the increase and the bull run that's happening in the sea market? Can't people assume that the prices are rising because of, that they can say, look, we're paying more for coffee. But in actual fact, they're paying more for coffee because the C market is going up, not because of what they're forced to do with EUDR. So can't one mask the other?
It can mask it.
For some period of time, though.
From some tier, but there won't be an eternal drought in Brazil. Or, there won't be like it. That there should be a market dynamic. It should be felt. And there should be decisions being made. But if you're a roaster and you're being offered the same amount of coffee at the same price and everything is the same, then we know we have failed. Then we know that everybody offers traceability and transparency and deforestation-free coffee, but you won't be able to discern which one is which.
Will Caravela charge more for coffee going into Europe than they will for the same coffee into other origins?
What would you do?
Into other consuming countries. That wasn't the question. Okay, excellent.
It costs more.
Yeah.
It costs more. To align the systems, it costs more. It's an added value to the product. That differentiated from a raw product. This is crafted, this is being taken care of, and yes, it should cost more.
And to be very clear, if I understand you correctly, the reason that producers are deforesting is because the cost that we are paying for coffee isn't providing them with a livable wage. So they have to produce a livable income, And so they need to create more of it so that they have enough income. They're cutting down trees to grow more coffee so that they can receive more income. The idea behind this is if we pay more for the coffee before they deforest it, they won't need to participate in deforestation because they're being fairly subsidized for their coffee. Have I understood this correctly?
Yes, but again, the supply chain needs to be as short as possible to ensure that premium price does really get back to the producer. So it happens the same of ensuring from origin to destination traceability. In this way, yes, but you should ensure that that extra money being paid by the consumer is not being eaten along the supply chain, but it actually reaches the producer. If you have a supply chain, again, that is responsible, that should facilitate the things. And then those producers earning more, then should be able to take care of the environment. Look, we have that data. And it's clear. You can protect the environment when your family has 3 meals a day for 360 days a year 65. On the table. And they have education and they have transportation. And when they get sick, they are covered. Then you can take care about the trees and the planet. But for producers, it's really hard not to be able to put 3 meals a day for all the family all year long and then take care of the environment. Like they have to ensure the prosperity of their household before ensuring the prosperity of the environment. And we have seen that those who have the necessities of their families covered, they are able to invest in responsible agricultural practices and take care of the environment. Because when you buy a water treatment plant or a bulk management pitfall to produce compost, those are things that take care of the environment, and they would add 0 points to your COP score or 0 kilograms to your productivity. 0. So it's an investment purely on taking care of the environment. And you can do that when your family is nourished properly.
I love it. So it sounds like, if we go back to what we were talking about in the first episode, the intended and unintended consequences of EUDR. EUDR is there to save the trees. But a byproduct of this is that we help producers earn a more livable income because they don't have to deforest. Well, not because they don't have to, because they're not allowed to deforest if they want to sell to Europe. And the hope is that this kind of legislation becomes a global thing. And let's hope that China doesn't say, oh, we're not going to put deforestation regulations, send us all your cheap coffee. Which is, there are a lot of, that could be something that we have to look how geopolitics plays a role in this, and sanctions, and et cetera, et cetera. But the idea is that there should be a positive feedback loop that goes all the way back to the producer from this legislation. And
it should be a spiral motion.
How hopeful are you about that?
Not very. Not very. Look, the industry will always be the industry. Big players will always be big players. And I've been on top of the EUDR for almost 3 years now, and it's only 3 years of lobby. Mm-hmm. It hasn't been 3 years of piloting things and proving and educating and training. No, it has been lobby. Most of the efforts are still being done in Europe, not in producing countries. Most of the talk is being done in Europe, not here. But so not very hopeful because of that. We work tirelessly for them to be executed as they are. We welcome them as they are written, because we believe they will have a massive impact when executed properly.
Is there a possibility? Do you think that coffee will slow down in its flow to the EU if they can't figure out how to do this properly? Will people just say, it's just too hard?
Europe drinks a lot of coffee.
Well, whether they drink a lot of coffee or not, they may not have the chance to drink as much coffee as they do, right? Because if it's too hard, exporters may just decide it's just too hard to do this. We're going to send coffee to Australia or to America or to Asia.
Look, that it's kind of the intention of it, that the only coffee that you will be able to drink in Europe is a responsible one.
Okay.
And it will cost more because there is less, because not all coffee is responsible. So I guess that's the intention. And for consumer just to have access to coffee that is deforestation free, that should cost more, and it should be less of it.
I have a strange question now. There are a whole bunch of agro-commodities that are included in this. Is it 9 or 11? 9?
Let's say from 9 to 11. I have
understood
that they're at 9.
Okay, it's 9. You're married to the document. I've heard third hand how many there are through articles and things. Is it possible that if this is unsuccessful, that there may be, and I'm not trying to dramatize this is a legitimate question, is it possible that there could be a food shortage in Europe?
Well, there is meat in there, definitely. Mm-hmm. Huge driver of deforestation.
Soy, right?
Soy.
Yeah.
Cocoa. Mm-hmm. Palm oil, which is basically
everything
is out of, yeah. So it would be more expensive for sure. I don't know if it's shortage, but it would be more expensive. And that's why we discussed in the first episode, is the EU ready for it?
Yeah.
And when the EU, meaning not only for the authorities, but is the consumer ready? And that's when what I was saying is their communication, responsible consumption on that side, because there is a lot of responsible production, but is there communication preparing
the consumer,
you customer base to say, hey, this is coming, probably is going to rise, you're going to have, because it's what you have been asking for, because that's what society has been asking for, responsibility, it comes to you to a higher price, be prepared. I don't know if that communication is happening.
I heard a statistic that
because I don't live there, but probably not.
I heard a statistic that floored me. 2 out of 3 Gen Zers do not drink coffee because of its relationship to deforestation in Europe. If this is successful, it should drive consumption up because of the huge population that Gen Z is. Will they be able to afford it, and will there be enough coffee there for that to happen? We're going to see, I guess. But it's just very curious that this was brought in because that's what the consumers want. But
that's exactly.
Are they prepared to deal with the consequences of their wishes? Time will tell. We as humans are very strange creatures that way.
Time will tell. Time will tell. And that's responsibility from the EU to communicate that and prepare the customer base.
Yeah, wow. Pedro, this has been sensational. I have learnt so much in this series. I can't thank you enough. Where can people find out? Let's say they do want to buy coffee from Caravela. As you said, where can they find out more about Caravela, and where can they get in contact with you and connect with you?
The discussion with me is about impact. You can write at pedro.manga@caravela.coffee. Any conversation about impact, prosperity. I don't sell beans. I sell impact. So if you want to talk about it and discuss it, then you can get there. Caravela.coffee is our webpage if you want to buy the beans, for sure.
And we will also link to Pedro's LinkedIn in the show notes, as well as the links that he has, the link to the Caravela website. Once again, this is not sponsored. We don't have any discount codes for you or anything like that. Just go and have a fucking conversation with people who are doing the right thing in the supply chain. That's what we want more of. So, Pedro, thank you again. This has been fantastic. Would you do me the honor of signing off this series?
Peace and love with peanut butter.
Yeah. By the way, folks, he likes smooth peanut butter. We won't hold that against him. Peace, love, and peanut butter. Have an amazing rest of your day, everyone. Bye. I really hope you enjoyed this episode, friends. Please don't forget to show us some love by subscribing, liking, commenting, and most of all, sharing this podcast with your friends. Check the show notes for links, including our sponsors and our Patreon. And stay tuned for more great conversations on the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward.